Allison Myers, I've taken too much of your time today. My name is Chris King, and I'm a licensed therapist, and I'm stuck in my head. Play the music, Drew. Go. That's what I'm talking about. I'm a little curious as we get ready to start our podcast. We're doing this every week, which I love doing it more often. As I enjoy that. What has been stuck in your head, Allison Myers, of late?
Well,
And maybe people just don't care. Oh, that's
they
fine.
might not. I don't know, but
Yeah, they might.
whatever.
Yeah, right. So,
So my best friend since the seventh grade.
mhm,
I met her in the fourth grade, but she thought I was really weird, which is
right.
fine. I was. And so I needed about 3 years to grow on her. So then in seventh grade, we became buddies forever, and she's my buddy forever. And she came over and she brought her daughter and she spent the night at my house, and her daughter's like my daughter's age, and we were just hanging out and having the best time. And I was reflecting on how cool it is to spend time with someone who's known you for that long.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like it's just different. It's like a different, and we don't talk every day and we don't see each other every day or anything like that. But there are just things that she knows because we lived it together. Like my husband doesn't even know. Like
right.
there's like a version of me that she lived with that like I don't know, it's just very cool. It's very cool to have that. And I really wanted that. Like I moved around a bunch, we've talked about
Yeah.
I like really wanted to have like a best friend and the necklace and the whole thing. And I told her daughter, we went to lunch yesterday and Melissa was getting a refill on drinks or something. And I told her daughter, I said, I asked God, I prayed to God for a friend like your mom.
Yeah.
And she's like here. She's like standing, she knows my kids' names, and we're just like eating Chick-fil-A together. Like, what? It's
God,
awesome.
that's so great. When I think there's just such a loneliness epidemic, and I feel I hurt when I talk to people that don't have a good friend.
Yeah.
It hurts me.
Yeah.
Like I just hate that people don't have that. And I find it interesting because I'm like 100% a people person because I just love people so much. But I don't really work very hard at it. And like that limits my friendship. So I have all these friends that I love dearly that I don't ever talk to, you know?
Mm.
And I I miss it. B, like a good friend, just it's just the best thing, man.
It's just the best thing. And like we talk a little bit about old things because that's always funny, to
Yeah.
like reminisce. Remember how ridiculous we were or whatever. So there's obviously like some of that, but then it just takes no time at all to like pivot and just go like
Yeah.
right into whatever it is, whether it's like a great joy or a deep worry or whatever. Like, and it's just so nice. There's
Yeah.
so much stuff I don't have to underscore, I'm like, when I say a person's name from my family or my life or whatever, she's like, yep. And she has all the backstory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
I don't know, I was just feeling very grateful
It's
for
humongous.
her and to her. And
Well, I'm doing a pivot on my stuck in my head because of what you said.
oh, okay.
Because one Cass Harris and his
Oh,
son called me up in the middle of the day and like, hey man, we're working in town. You want to get dinner? And I'm like, absolutely. And that's
100%.
exactly what we did. That's just last night at the rooftop in Broken Arrow.
Yeah.
Like, there's just like we catch up super fast. There's some old talk. There's some new talk. You feel loved. You give love.
Yeah.
It's just one of the things that makes life worth living.
And like a cool little, I feel like a cool little bonus that my daughter and her daughter like each other.
That's
You know?
that's nice. Yeah.
I was like, look at this. Like, not, I mean, we don't live in the same, I don't think they're gonna be like us 2.0 or anything, but like 100% at some point in our lives, we dreamt about that.
How cool that would be.
Yeah, how cool that would be if we like had kids that liked each other and knew each other and were friends, like we were friends.
Yeah.
And like it's just like in real time, like happening in my house. And I was like, this is it's pretty great.
Well, I wanna ramp that up, the friendship theme, to being friends with your kids.
Oh,
Like this last weekend was Maggie's birthday. She turned 30, and I just and then Drew's birthday is coming up next week. He'll be 22, and then Eli's birthday is Cinco de Mayo. He'll be 27. And I not only do I love my kids so much, I just love being with them. They're the coolest. And so one of the jokes around our house, which has not been fun for Maggie, is that like usually we're gone on spring break during her birthday, and we'll be like, "Yeah, we're skiing. Also, let's have dinner for your birthday." And so
yeah.
I think she gets a little slighted on the birthday thing. So literally this time it was like, "Hey, Ryan and I want to go to New York City and see Daniel Radcliffe in a play."
Yeah. Harry Potter.
Right. So are you ready to take Rory all weekend? And we were like, hell yeah,
Yeah.
let's go. And I just got to say, it was the funnest thing. And we took Sean and Gus too. So it was like dogs and baby. It was a lot.
Oh,
It was a lot. But she's just the easiest baby. She's just happy.
yeah.
and and it was just as we're getting to know her, like it
Uh-huh.
was literally Maggie gave us a gift by that. Now, do I want to do that every night? Not really, because I'm old and I want to do my thing too. But
Sure.
man, it was so great, and they had the best time. And So it's just awesome. A couple of little things stuck in my head. We had a heat wave here, and so I told Drew and Kristen, I'm like, I mean, it's March. I'm like, but it was like what, 92 or something
Yeah.
like that. And I
Yeah.
said, hey, snakes are gonna come out. And at night, me and Drew were eating dinner, just the two of us, because Kristen was gone on business. And Drew's like, snake. I'm like, in the house? And he's like, no, in the window. And like this snake was about 6 feet up, stuck to the outside of our window, looking around for frogs or something. I know.
Mm.
Saw my first snake in March. So that was interesting. And
Is it a
then,
good snake or a bad snake?
well, he's smiling, which means he's a good snake.
Good snake. Okay.
Yeah. If he's making mean faces, it's a bad snake.
He's like,
Right. Always a bad snake when they make mean faces. Um, and I've been making redonkulous progress on the book.
yes.
Like we have just lots
Graphic.
of progress.
Yeah. There's
Yes. Yeah.
all
Got,
kinds.
got a new graphic. Yep. A lot going on there. So, okay. Well, that's all really good news. Well, a reminder, like I called it relationship hack, and like after working through it, I'm like, no, I want to go back to orientation. So orientation cycle, a map for relationships. Orientation cycle, a map for relationships. If everything's in relationship, understanding our location in it is kind of everything. Like this is where I'm at and where you're at, and can I accept my position in relationship to you or the thing, whatever it is that I'm doing in life. And we got to be able to get out of it, like out of our cycles of anxiety and fear and like lostness and stuckness, and we got to look at it. And when we look at it, we're like, oh my gosh, well, maybe this is just kind of normal, and I have places that I can go. And you and I have been doing that. And you might enter the cycle from a place of being lost. Your map is no good anymore. You need a new map. You need to connect or orient or like tether. You might be entering it from a place of being stuck. Like, I don't know where to go or what to do. But when we look at these issues as relationship problems, things start to change. And so that's kind of what we're talking about on the podcast. So the question that we were going to ask today, and I think it's a fairly provocative question. I mean, people might listen just because of the title, decent title.
Yeah.
Signs that you are stuck in your head.
Yeah. Which feels like we're framing that up to be a negative thing. And it is the
That's,
name of the podcast.
I mean, okay. Well, I think you tend to like joke about that a lot more than I do. Like,
Yeah.
you would say this is a problem for you. I mean, right? Like that's, I mean, in your life,
Yeah. I mean,
you kind
it
of,
looks like different things at different times, but yeah, when I find myself like looping over, like replaying conversations that I've had throughout the day, or I don't know, just the mental gymnastics that goes with it. And I mean, it can be paralyzing and it can be exhausting.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
I mean, if it's boundaried and healthy, I think there's ways we can be in our head that are healthy and productive. But it seems like the default is a little bit more unproductive, but it's a trick because you think you're being productive.
Well, the being stuck in your head typically is like characterized. I mean, like it's like a pop culture term, but like being stuck in your head, like when we hear people say that to us, it kind of means like to us like that you're existing in some sort of loop, like a
Yeah.
negativity loop or a fear
Yeah.
loop or an anxiety loop, something like that that keeps you from like being active and free and moving forward in your life and this sort of
Yeah.
thing. Is that when you think about it, is that what you experience normally
For sure. For sure. Uh, yeah, I
for your
mean,
life, like since you were a kid?
oh yeah, 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 yeah. And I think it played in different ways when I was younger than it does now, but like I think in its root there was some sort of root anxiety or root fear that
Yeah.
I was in my head about, and either trying to think my way out of it or come up with all the possible scenarios so I could have a solution just in case. And and none of which works the way you think it's going to. Um,
Well, let me ask you this, because you work with kids quite often and families, and so do I. I mean, if we, what do we normally see that we'd be like, oh yeah, they're kind of stuck in their head, like, and we're not like giving like some sort of diagnosis. We're just like, what kind of things do we see? And I'll start with one, and that is like achievement loops and not good enough loops.
oh
I
yeah.
think that's super common. Do you see that in your experience very often?
Oh, absolutely. And oftentimes they aren't really necessarily driven by anything anyone in their life has actually said. It's not because like a parent has said, "Hey, dude, you're not good enough."
Hmm.
There may have been maybe sometimes a parent will say, "I know you can do better," which is actually a positive encouragement statement.
Hmm.
But most of the time, this I'm not good enough, I didn't do enough, I didn't win enough, I didn't whatever is completely internally started and fed.
Yeah, I don't believe it's internally started. I usually believe it's externally started, but like from an age that we don't tend to recall usually.
Oh, that may be it.
But also back to relationship, like it's not just done. Well, it can be done to me, but I also participate in it. So if I have a certain kind of vibe, like innate neurotic space or anxiety, or I don't like mushrooms. I don't know what it is, or
Yeah.
maybe I'm like a colicky baby. Like I've got a thing I'm bringing to the table that then produces some sort of other interaction that tends to come off kind of negatively, like it might be abusive, but it might just be chronically stressful. And then I, as a little kid, my brain being having plasticity and adapting, like then it starts to create scripts,
Uh,
and those scripts be they verbal or feelings that get stuck in my body are always there to protect us, which is the good thing about being stuck in your head. The problem about being stuck in your head is that like you're just being protected like all the time, like it never
yeah.
quits, right?
Yeah. And sometimes you don't have anything to necessarily be protected from.
Correct. Right.
So you're
So
just
that's
in the mode,
yeah, yeah,
you're just revved.
yeah. And so like there's achievement, there's not good enough, there's acceptance or liked and not liked kind of
Right,
stuck in
right.
my head. Is that one that you've played out? I'm assuming being
A billion times.
21st century Western woman, like, and I'm
Well, yeah, and we
right,
moved.
like,
We moved like a million times when I was
yeah,
real little, like 8 schools by the end of fourth grade or something. I mean, like I
that's a
averaged
lot.
two schools a year. And so then it's like everywhere you go, you gotta like am I going to have anyone to sit with at lunch? And like,
Yeah.
am I going to get invited to whatever? And then, of course, in your head, it's like, well, all of these people are best friends and have been forever, and I'm new and I'm not in that. So,
Right.
and 100%, I can look back and see how, I mean, I made decisions. I think even by high school time, I was probably even aware. Like, I am choosing to do this so that I never feel lonely like that
Yeah.
again. Like
Yeah.
it was a direct, I mean, I made active choices in my life so that I never had to feel or wonder or think, do these people like me? Which also didn't work because
Yeah. Right. I think growing up, I had some of those same problems, but I wasn't very conscious of it. I was just always trying to work the angle to make the mean so that we were cool.
yeah.
Um, so there's that. Okay, so there's like kind of like doing enough or being good enough. There's this sort of like relational stuck in your head. One other, and there's a lot of different ways, but I want to bring up one more, and that is the which is kind of relationship cycle, the orientation cycle. I feel lost and don't know my way around this situation, kind
Mm.
of stuck in my head, which is I don't maybe that sounds a bit more vague, but it's kind of like the where do I go, what do I do, or I don't know who to go to for X stuck in my head. Like that's a real thing too, I would think. And what made me think of it, like that was kind of on my head before we started this, but like when you said we moved, like I would think it's not just always about relationships. It might be about just sort of like the structures that keep you safe, you know?
Mm. Hmm.
Where do I go and who do I talk to and who's gonna not just relationship though, but kind of like what's gonna work? Am I gonna
Well, just actual orientation.
yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
new, I mean, because every new move, I also had a whole new bedroom. Like I had a whole new town. I had a whole new neighborhood. I had, I mean, it was like the whole thing was like flipped up.
This is super interesting because when we talk about the social stuck in our head, there's an article we might plug into a different podcast, but that I read this last week about how um like connectability is a trait that people bring to the table due to their confidence, and they sort of like self-predict their ability to make friends and connect and to get things done because you're really good at this, and I know a lot of it's reactionary, and I'm really good at it too, and I think a lot of it's reactionary.
Mhm.
Like this is our way. I mean, when we're in eighth grade to be popular, or when we're 28 about like navigating life, or 38 or 48. But one of the things that made me think about, which I thought was super interesting, was that my experience growing up was like, as far as like being stuck in my head, was almost always I was almost always stuck in my head about social items. And it was about
Mhm.
acceptance and connection. And I had and I bring this up in the book, and I've talked about it pretty freely, but I had these kind of two very different experiences with two very different parents.
Yeah.
And so I have this one hyper connected and not super judgmental and funny and creative parent in my life that is my main person, who, and I'm an only child, so I was kind of spoiled socially. Like, you're good at what you do. That's
Mm.
awesome. Like a lot of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I believe that, right? And I still do. Um, but when I but I also had this absent parent
Yeah. Yeah.
that I yearned for a relationship with. Because we would do guy things, but like we never did guy things. Like we never did anything. I mean,
Yeah.
except Christmas, he'd give me a bike, or I'd go out for the summer and stay at his place. And while there was a lot of partying going on, like it was very, very disconnected regarding
Hmm.
father son. And so I felt a lot of rejection and hurt there that I couldn't even
Sure.
fully articulate it. So I kind of had these parallel situations going on. And so as I grew up, I entered my community like believing that I'm good at things and I have something to offer. And I would kind of, like first, second, third grade. I'm like, cool, let's do stuff. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Until someone burst my bubble. Right. I don't know who you think you are. What makes you think you're so great? And so like this, and that was real. As a little kid, like, I'm just like, you can imagine like this look of like shock and disappointment. And I'm singing harmonies in music class, and people are like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
That's stupid. And I'm like, oh, and I didn't really have kind of much of a fighter spirit. I was just kind of like, and it was about, and so I would really get stuck in my head about being accepted. And it's full circle to what you were talking about before we recorded. And do you know when that, there's 2 periods in my life where that changed a lot. And I still have it, like both. You know what I mean? Like right now, putting myself on a podcast for people to hear and pick apart what I say is the strong side of me that thinks that things are cool and I can do things
like,
right.
it's amazing what we're doing. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Right. There's this other side of me. And, but there's 2 times where this really changed my life. And it wasn't this, the scales weren't really, it was more like, no, I'm going to go with the strong side.
Yeah.
And I bet you can guess what the first one was.
Oh yeah. New Life Range.
It's camp.
Totally.
Because at camp, for some reason,
Everything about your personality was like made for that.
Yeah, that's
That environment allowed all of your strengths to just fly.
Soar. You too. But you too.
Yeah, exactly.
And people who never went to camp, I pity the soul. I pity the fool. Man.
Pity the fool. Yeah.
Pity you. It was interesting because like when I went to camp, I'm like, the idea that I'm kind of I'm a decent athlete, like that was actually real. Like I wasn't having to compete for status to be like, do you suck? Are you mid or are you great? Like this just like all these statusy kinds of things.
Yeah.
I was like good, and people liked me, and I could say what I thought. Did you have a similar experience at camp?
Yes, except for a different reason. Like, I don't know that I thought of myself. I didn't think of myself as particularly athletic, or like if we were in PE, I wasn't going to be first picked for.
No, sure.
Thing. And that's what made camp great, is it actually didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
It didn't matter. And the stuff that we were doing wasn't like regular stuff that we weren't like, and now we're going to play regular basketball. It was
this is so great.
Quiz and what,
I mean, Alison, you know who decided that shit?
You did.
Me.
Yeah, I know. That's why we're friends. Everything about the most like salvifical things. Is that a word? Salvifical?
I don't know.
Salvation. The things that saved
saved you?
About the culture of that place. And I'm not trying to like downplay. I was just talking to Ryan about this the other day. Like, I'm not trying to downplay what God does in the lives of
places,
of people, of kids in places like that.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes the wins that God does in those places have almost nothing to do with the chapel or it's all those other things. Like, and the culture of that place was like my dream.
Right.
My dream place. There wasn't a hierarchy. There wasn't like, if you were like silly and yourself, you were cool. And if you were too cool, you actually weren't cool. Yeah. I was like, I was made for this place.
Right. But and this is super interesting because this is how it works generationally. So something about what those people did for me made me want to do it for others. And like, I was super purposeful in that. Like, that's how I led. I'm like, we're gonna only use competition to serve the higher goal of bonding and connection. You know, like ideas like that, that were like bubbling in my head when I was 24, 25 years old. And like, but here's my question. And I wasn't going to talk about this, but it's just super interesting. It's like hitting me right now. When you were growing up and going to camp, did you feel like you were stuck in your head about a lot of stuff? Like in those when you were there?
No.
Not exactly.
Not when I was there. I mean, oh, okay, okay. So
There
like
were
you
there were
show up,
boys.
right?
Is it
And
about
you're right,
boys?
there were boys, obviously. But
Yeah.
like, so like the first day, right?
There's
You're
that.
like, right?
Oh gosh,
It's like you're detoxing,
where do
right?
I stand? Yeah.
Your old life to your new life.
Yes.
And you have to get in the creek and do the swim test and
There's all this discomfort involved in change.
all the cool counselors are like, if you don't get your hair wet, you don't pass. And I was like, oh my gosh, but if my hair's wet, then I'll have to redo my bangs. And like, it was right. And that takes about 24 hours to get over.
Yeah.
And then you're like, 24 hours in, you're like, why am I doing my bangs? Like,
Uh-huh.
guess how much my bangs matter here? Zero. What
Zero.
what I didn't ever really translate, and I'm sure it was a time of life thing, was it really didn't matter anywhere if I did my bangs.
Right.
And so I was slower to, but like I was annoyingly I remember I was there 3 weeks in a row one summer, and this was
Yeah.
before leadership development because I just didn't want to go home.
Right.
Figured out how to do me there in a way that was like not stuck in their head, being themselves, like, and I just like knew I couldn't do that anywhere else, or I believed I couldn't do that anywhere else.
I was super convinced that that was the core message of Jesus, was that you
Yes.
are acceptable, like Genesis, like yeah, there's that sin thing, but like no,
God image. Like,
underneath that, like you're on the team. Like, come on, let's go.
yeah,
Like
yes.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I and I think that like that feels like the like it's the antidote to stuck in your head. Like stuck in your head is a good thing when it comes to safety. Like on the list we were looking at, like worst case scenarios, like being stuck in your head. Like
Yeah.
I think we need those things to survive. But if we want our relationships to be cultivated, like doing the things that it takes to create safe spaces and tell the truth, boundaries, like these things tend to make you not stuck in your head. You're out there in the moment.
Yes.
It's not about what might happen, what if,
Right.
or what did
It
happen
did
that I've got,
happen.
what I got
Right.
to live up to. Like it's about like, oh, we've got this, the staff camper softball game is happening right now, or I'm playing Flickr right now, or I'm in a skit right now,
Yeah.
and it's just we're just here doing it. And that was I really wasn't going to talk about camp, but that was probably the main place where like stuck in my head became not a thing,
Mm.
and I was like, I mean, full circle back to kind of like how you approach people. Like camp reminded me that my mom was right.
Mm.
You
Yeah. And that
know,
your dad was a butthead.
yeah, he was wrong.
Yeah.
Um, and and if I leaned into that, like things tend to get better. Which was and what was crazy about it was then like part of the fun story was then like after when I got kind of old enough to go get my own life, I wasn't getting a job, and then they called me and they offered me the job to run the thing, and I didn't apply. I never applied for it, so it was just like I think that there's some sort of lesson in there for me and maybe for others. It's like if you go and be present and be the best you, like stuff happens, and being stuck in our head usually is about what we're missing, you know,
Mm.
like that gap about the way it ought to be versus the
Yeah.
way it is, you know what I mean?
Sure. Sure. I mean, in a lot of ways, there's just not that many things to talk about. I mean, there are lots of things to talk about, but when you boil everything down to its like most basic thing, we're just kind of talking about a couple of things. Like
Uh-huh.
we're talking about attention. We're talking about like, and where is my attention when I'm stuck in my head? Well, it's on me.
Right, right. And
And
generally
oh,
what I'm missing or not getting.
yeah, and it's informed by me and fed by me. And that doesn't mean that there aren't things that have happened. That's not, I'm not saying that because there are
Yeah.
like difficult hardships that have happened to people.
Yeah.
that had nothing to do with them. That
That's
should
right.
have never happened.
Right.
And 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 I think then we forget that we have more choices than we do. It
Yeah.
feels like sometimes, and stuck in my head is when we get stuck inside of ourselves, this is can be one of them. Like it feels like, well, I can't do anything. And we can always, I think we always have more of a choice than we realize we do. We may not like our options,
Right.
but a choice is a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like with any good relationship, right? If you and I were talking about that, I would say you have power in the relationship. It might not be all the power you want,
Right.
but to say you're powerless is never true because there's you and then that other person or situation or belief or memory or whatever that you're relating to. And so like you got power, you have power to move. And I think maybe because it's such a safe place and there's so much goodwill being offered around and they're connecting you to, really awesome, important ideas.
Mhm.
And you're involved emotionally with people instead of being disconnected from your emotions, like when we're
Also
stuck in our head, like
belonging and
we're like restricted. We're trying not to show people what we think because that might cause weakness. But, one of the things that at least worked for me, and it's not true for every single person, but I know it worked for me,
sure.
worked for you, was like my vulnerability was like encouraged because like if I did that, like it was actually going to be fine. Like it
Hmm.
wasn't like there was fear because there was risk and vulnerability, but like relationally, like like Brene Brown always says, like vulnerability is like that's the fuel for the fire. Like it's to have any kind of
The
intimacy or
gateway.
growth in relationships, you got to have it. It's a gateway. That's right. And so at camp, because there was this focus on community and taking care of each other, and if things went south, like we dealt with it, and probably because there's just so much energy given to those units in community, because it's not hard. It's really hard to sustain it. Like you can't live like camp every day, all year long. But I think the lessons there are huge, and like what can we take with it? Some of the things on our list, like analyzing your emotions instead of feeling them,
Oh, for
experiencing
sure.
them, right? Like
Should
it's
all, should all over yourself. Like
yeah,
I shouldn't feel that way, or I should feel grateful, but I'm mad instead, and I'm a bad person because of that. And it's like, nah, like,
right,
why are we doing that?
yeah, yeah, or jumping to worst case scenarios instantly, or or not being connected to the present moment. Like this is like I'm stuck. And some of us like go places in our head that are like for me, like with the ADHD stuff, I think I do it not on purpose. Like I think there's a bit of a disassociative space. The more that we're reading about ADHD is that like it's actually a thing in the brain where if it's connected to any kind of like chronic stress or trauma or funk when you were a little kid, like your brain kind of goes, too much. And it's not even conscious.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like when I'm stuck in my head, sometimes it's just like I'm not maybe obsessing about the thing. I'm like bopping from thing to thing to thing
Right.
instead of being just like I am here now, which I always know is more like relationally rich. So, and we didn't prepare this part, but we need to talk about it. Like, what do you see or do, or what do I see or do that tends to help us rebound from the stuck in our headedness? And I have a couple of thoughts that are therapeutic that I made note of, but like, what do you think about that? Like, what do you encourage people to do? What do you have to do to like not live there? Because that's been a part of your experience too.
Sure. Um, in some ways, I think it goes back to the very, very first thing that we were talking about, how like having people in my life that I trust enough to say out loud, hey, I'm having this, this is what I'm stuck on. I can't get past this.
Yeah, yeah,
I can't stop thinking about it. Like where your mind maybe bops around, mine does have a tendency to like, I just am ruminating on the one thought or the one thing, or I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I did that. I can't believe whatever. And
yeah,
having someone outside of the loop, outside of my brain, not even necessarily because they can be like, oh, well, here's what you need to do and follow these three steps and you'll be fine.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Right.
not, even just the act of speaking it, or even in this digital age, texting it, or emailing it or whatever, it gets it out of just in here.
Right.
And it makes it, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me.
Do you ever do like 2 or 3 sneezes in a row?
Sometimes,
I
but
did one
sometimes
today,
just
and
one
like
and done.
it's like getting an Asian foot massage. It's like the
I
best.
mean, I do love the way a sneeze feels,
Feels
but
good.
I don't like it when I always like spit, it's like so weird. The worst is when you have food and you're like when you're eating.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's nowhere for this to go.
I love that. In my
Anyway.
old age, I know we're like rabbit trail. Like in my old age, I started apologizing for spitting on people when I get excited and talk to them. I'm like, instead of like
I
when I notice it, I'm just like, oh, I did that. I'm so sorry, and I just wipe it off.
yeah,
Sneezing would be is a whole nother level. Like,
sneezing with gusto.
oh my gosh, that's the
Well,
worst.
and then of course, like sometimes someone told me like when I was a kid or something, like if you sneeze with your mouth closed or something, your eyeballs will blow out your face or something.
Oh yeah, that's
Like,
100% true.
some terrible, so your like body physically won't let you.
Right.
So the air has to come out your mouth, and it's anyway.
You'll lose your hearing too.
You'll lose your life. You'll lose your
Right.
life.
It's all over.
Your mouth closed.
Okay, did I sufficiently
But yeah, I
distract
think
us? Okay.
getting the thought outside of my head is
Yeah.
helpful. And even sometimes I have found for myself, if a verbal processing partner isn't an option,
Uh-huh.
sometimes even just journaling.
For
It's
sure.
it's just too, it's like looking in your purse for something that you know is in there, but you can't find it. You don't have a purse, but
That you know of anyway.
yeah, that I know about. But it like for me, sometimes just getting it all out
Yeah.
is like pouring out the purse on the counter, and like I'm like, there it is. That's
Right.
the thing. And so I think anything I can do to disrupt the cycle and get it outside of myself. Now, sometimes I'll invite Ryan into the conversation, and I'm trying to get him to come into the loop with me. And he's like, no, I'm not doing that.
Right.
Like, I'm like, come in. It's real bad. Like, it's real.
Yeah.
I'm
Join me
real.
in hell.
Yeah. And he's like, we're not doing that. And I was like, well, yeah, we are. I'm already here. Which is helpful. I mean, it makes me want to hit him a little bit, but uh, so yeah, I think those are the first two thoughts that I had that come to mind. What do you find to be helpful when you
Yeah,
feel
it's kind of the same. Yeah, it's kind of the same. I think that when you're not present or self-aware, like it's just hard to undo it or to like call timeout. You got to have some sort of way to call timeout.
yeah,
If you're not flying solo, maybe you do have a friend that's good enough to say, "Hey, are you okay? Like I notice that you're like all preoccupied." And hopefully like cultivating that like with our spouses, our close friends is good, but like at the end of the day, like this would probably be the PSA, the public service announcement from the podcast today is to be able to say that like whatever it takes to find a way to physically call time out in your life, like you've got to practice that stuff. Like
yeah,
getting outside physically, doing 5-second breaths physically, a breath prayer, which is a physical act. My breath prayer is super simple. God help me and God thank you. Like
mm,
pausing is what it's all about because your your brain being built to help you survive will not do that on its own. And so
mhm,
consciousness and like the physical entryway into consciousness is always like it's like time out, breathe, 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 breathe,
yeah.
use your senses.
What do you
Like
hear? What do you see? What do you smell? What do you?
right, like if my mental energy is focused on a sense at a time, my timeline becomes not past and not future.
Hmm.
If I told myself or someone told me to notice the color of my wood trim in my house, like oh now I'm doing now.
Yeah,
If if someone said I'm literally doing it now, like if someone said like pay attention to what you hear, I would say, well, my ears are ringing because I have tinnitus and I can hear the air conditioner going because it's a warm day or whatever. Can you feel the breeze or air on your hands? or do you feel the clothes against your skin?
Mhm.
Does your mouth have a funny taste in it? And so when we use our senses, like our brain automatically has to go to present space. And if we slow our breathing down, like this is a practice, a habit that, and for those of our listeners who are Christians and stuff like that get weirded out, like all we're doing is we're just utilizing the body God gave us. Like
Yeah.
this is good stuff. And so
Yes.
don't be afraid of it. And so I think like sort of that gateway drug to kind of get it stopped is helpful. And then the other thing, like the clinical term, I guess it's clinical that I would use it. ACT therapy is like my favorite modality. Um, and there's this phrase called diffusion.
Mm.
And so I don't know if I've talked about it on here yet or not. Um, so the phrase cognitive fusion it alludes to feelings and thoughts. A thought would be like words, pictures, memories, movies in our brains.
Mm.
It's not the same thing as feeling sad. It's like where was I'm doing I notice, well, there's words or there's pictures, like so
Yeah.
those are thoughts, cognitions, memories. And um fusion, cognitive fusion is that thoughts and feelings get fused and get real sticky.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what stuck in your head literally means. Like,
Yeah.
why did she ignore my text? Huh, that's weird. And then insecurity,
Sure.
coupled by why is she late for work? Like, so like you kind of go bang, 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 bang.
Yeah. Yeah.
My metaphor for fusion is super lame, but people always remember it. I say fusion is like plywood. It's like you have this little piece of wood, very thin, very workable because it's so small. You could break it or manipulate it,
Yeah.
but then it gets sticky with different emotions. And then, like, another thought adds onto it. And if I had a piece of plywood that was like an eighth of an inch thick, like I could probably move that thing around and carry it. I could like probably stand on it and break it and manipulate it and work it, to I could be the boss of it. But if
Yeah.
I have a piece of plywood that's like 2 inches thick, 4 by 8 feet, or here's one, like, I don't think they make it, but how about 1 foot thick?
Yeah.
It weighs 2,000 pounds. And like, of course, there's no, it's like on
Yeah.
me. I can't do anything with it. And so, and our brains are built to go worst case scenario because like it needs to manage the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But from an evolutionary standpoint, like we're not living in the 1700s or the
Sure.
1000s. And so like most of us in Western society, like our bad things happen all the time. It's just not normal.
Yeah.
We live older and we do tend to do better, and for sure when there's not a lot of poverty or like, like there's situations that are still true, but
Sure.
like,
For sure.
but our brains really haven't adjusted that. So our brains go worst case scenario. Like that's just automatic.
Mm-hmm.
And so what diffusion is doing things to help that plywood kind of get unstuck.
Mm.
Like literally sticking the big chunk of plywood in a big oven and like it baking to where like the glue melts and you can kind of peel away the different layers of thoughts and things like that, because then they're all manageable. Like my thought that says, you know, she doesn't love me anymore, like when you've got a girlfriend or something like that might be rational, it might be not rational, but it's just a thought. So
Yeah.
like the power emotionally that you give the thought or stack of thoughts in fusion is what keeps you stuck in your head.
Yeah.
And so when you can call time out and defuse, and there's a lot of ways to do that. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, your language changes. You're not as stuck in your head. You literally might not be feeling great. You might still be scared. You might still be feeling sad or might be lost. But like your life is manageable and you're not stuck in your head. You got a place to go.
Yeah.
And so like a common diffusion technique might be the observation of words, which is going to it sounds kind of weird, but like it works wonders in therapy, where I'll be like, hey, give me a thought that's really just causing you pain and that you're stuck on, that you're obsessing about. And the thought might be like, well, I'm not good enough. Like that's a very common fused thought, not good
Yeah.
enough. And I would say, all right, now say it like this. And I think I've done this with you before. I don't remember. Like right now, I notice that I'm thinking I'm not good enough.
Mm.
And I'll be like, okay, now say it the first way. Like, I'm not good enough. All right, great. Now say it the second way. Right now, I notice that I'm thinking I'm not good enough. We do it like 4 or 5 times. Sometimes we write it and we just kind of keep like working it. And I'm like, hey, and I'll ask you this, like of those, like if which one of those would feel worse to you if it popped into your brain?
Yeah, the first one. I'm not
Why?
good.
Right. But like, is it because the way it works out, you just kind of believe in it, like you're in? Is that true normally?
Why is that phrase
It,
worse?
yeah. Why does it feel shitty?
It feels done. It
It,
feels
it yeah,
final.
it's decided.
It's over.
Right. And isn't that
What you
amazing?
are. Yeah.
I know. Isn't that amazing? Because it either is and we like we feel terrible about it, we're stuck in those loops, or we do kind of like what if,
Mm,
or I wonder why,
mm.
and we carry that negative belief, but we loop it because we can't like face it, and so we're stuck in our head that way. But which one of those two versions is absolutely more true?
The second one.
Right. Which is a very value neutral statement, but it's exactly true, and it's oriented.
True. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's true right now.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Because
it's
that's what
orient.
I am thinking about right now. Right
Yeah,
now, I'm
it's
thinking that maybe I'm not good enough. Yeah.
yeah, it is oriented. My brain is acting like a brain. It's putting a thought out there that I have quite often. And right in this last minute, I had the thought that said, I'm not good enough. And like, how would you feel if that's how the way you thought about it? Now, I'm not saying anyone ever does because everyone thinks things like with all those qualifiers.
Right.
But what emotion, if the first one would create like an emotion of shame or whatever,
Yeah.
like it's heavy. What emotion might you feel if you thought it the second way? And
I mean,
it's
it's
weird.
like our brains are acting like brains.
Thank you, segue. Right. So, yeah. So when we like defusion is this thing where you're de-welding the thoughts to where they're kind of workable. When you have 5 bad thoughts in a row, feel like all sandwiched up with a bunch of negative emotion, like it's just too heavy. And so then you're either miserable or stuck in your head, or you're coping with it to ignore it, which is not good either.
Right.
Yeah. And so I think that like the physical pause as kind of a gateway drug, like learning how to do that, breath, etc., senses, for relationships like you spoke of, and then just this idea of looking at it, meaning like, oh, I notice I'm having this thought.
Yeah. Getting outside of it.
That's right.
And
Way
is
more.
that what you're talking about? Like separating some of the emotion from it, like defusing it.
Yeah.
I'm getting
Yeah. Yeah.
a little space from it.
And here's what's interesting is that like, let's say you're having a lot of emotion, but you
Mm-hmm.
have some sort of and you have some sort of capacity to back up just a bit. I don't think the goal is to be unemotional. Actually, the goal is actually to experience your emotions. But when you call it what it is,
Yeah.
instead of it being 18 things that cause this big giant fatberg of pain, like I can't get around it. I can't get through it. And then you're stuck in your head and you can't get out of it. Like, and being trapped and stuck. Like that's why people that's why people need therapy. So on your own, the ability to kind of go time out, time out. I notice that I'm feeling really sad about this thing. Like, then do sad. Like,
Yeah.
do it. What you'll find is that like the intensity or the lack of control that you might experience when you're stuck in your head is not quite the same. Like you're just feeling what you feel, and it also tends to come and go, which is how our bodies were meant to do it.
Right.
And so, I wish that we were more technologically advanced to where we were like flashing like here's the 3 steps to fix the thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But like,
And
but people you just got to listen to us.
you just gotta listen and just try it. You just gotta try.
Right. Yeah.
And
So I
that's
don't know.
so
Yeah.
a lot of times when I'm stuck in my head, it's usually some sort of anxiety type loop.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why I think maybe what you're talking about, diffusion, is why when I invite my husband into it with me and I say, hey, I'm feeling super anxious. I feel like this and this and this, and all that was happening was this and this and this, and now I feel anxious. Why do you think that is? Why am I feeling like this? Why am I like this? He says, that's not the right question right now. We're not going to talk, right? Because it draws us deeper into our head instead of,
Yeah,
hey,
why?
on our breath, and how about we,
Yeah.
and it's not that there isn't a why, but I wonder if why is just like one of the most, Merrick was talking the other day about how she's like super into, she's like, I've really like gotten into Greek mythology. She read the Percy Jackson
Yeah,
books and she was in the musical and they're doing, oh, like, I don't know. It's coming up in school and she's like, I don't know, I just think it's super cool. And I was like, yeah, you know where that stuff came from, right? And she was like, and I was like, people trying to just figure out why is the world the way it is?
yeah,
Why, when I planted all these crops,
yeah.
did big grasshopper bugs come and eat them all gone?
Eat it all. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I must have made somebody mad. I
yeah.
bet
I
there's
need an
someone in
explanation.
charge of, whatever. And this trying to look at our lives and go, why is it going like this? Is like probably the oldest question, one of the oldest questions ever. And this desire to write a story, to tell a story to ourselves about the why
Yep.
of our lives, sometimes it's on purpose, and most of the time it's not.
Yeah,
We just start telling a story. Well, it's probably because of this.
yeah.
And maybe you know the answer to this. 9 times out of 10, every once in a while I come across a person who doesn't do this, but 9 times out of 10, the story that we tell ourselves isn't always very kind. It's easy. It's like seems like it's easier to believe a negative story than a positive story.
Well, it's more automatic. It takes work and like influence. Like we have to see gratitude to know how to do it usually.
Mm.
Again, brain survival machine. Like if I'm all stuck in my head, I'm there's a decent chance I'll live longer than if I'm gonna hang out outside and write songs, experience beauty. Like Sasquatch gonna come eat me, you know?
Or
So
that
like,
big,
yeah, that big snake that was stuck in our window. Yeah. So I think that's the answer. The other thing about why is that like why has a great place, but it's also a placeholder, meaning that like it keeps you from moving forward because so many parts of our lives will not get adequate explanations.
right.
And another thing with asking why, when you're looping why, is that we do in therapy is like, well, answer it. What's the thing that you're afraid of that deep down inside you're unwilling to admit that you think is the why?
Mm.
Usually there is an answer. It's just not the one that you want to accept. And it might be true and it might be a lie, but there's an answer hanging out down there.
Yeah.
Why doesn't she like me? Well, I mean, answer it because I'm not very good looking. I'm like, great. All right. Well, so that might not be true. Like
Maybe.
it's a fused up thought. And so that's what happens. That's how we get stuck in our heads. We need movement, we need movement. And
Yeah,
so
and if we can't accept that there are some whys we'll just never get, if we
correct.
like I can't move forward until someone tells me why this is the way it is.
you're
Well,
gonna you're gonna be there a long time.
welcome to it, man. This is where you live now.
Yeah,
Like
you're
the
gonna
learning to instead of just resist, resist, resist.
that's
In
correct.
fact, we were just talking about this morning. Merrick and I were at this TED talk that she watched about becoming friends with your anxiety.
Oh, it's one of my favorites. I use it all the time.
I mean, it's like, and then she watched it, and then I watched it, and I was like, she was like, yeah, there's this part that just said something about like you just gotta like quit fight when it's coming. You don't fight it, you just let it roll over you.
You see it as a friend because it's there to help you.
She's like, that feels like not what I should do.
Right.
I
The
was like,
best the best part of
yeah,
that talk, the best part of that talk is when they're like, okay, the 14th leading cause of death in America was AIDS. The 15th was um, like stress. It was
Yeah.
stress, because stress leads to heart disease, et cetera, et cetera. And
Yeah.
so then they changed the line, and they say the 14th leading cause of death is AIDS. The 15th leading cause of death is believing that stress is bad. Because there
Yeah.
was all these people, right, that like
Yes.
who were like, I am high stress, also not that big of a deal, and they all lived longer than anybody.
Yep.
They weren't fused up.
We're all fused up.
They
And so
weren't stuck.
learning to just say, okay, this is here.
Yes.
This thought is here. It has arrived. It's
Yeah.
not working to pretend like it's not here. The thought is here. I don't it's what I feel right now in this moment. I don't know if it has a lot of merit or not. I don't think I'm gonna sit in it any longer. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go put my toes in the grass, or I'm gonna breathe
Yes.
out, or I'm gonna call it what it is, and I think it'll probably just go away on its own. And if it doesn't, I think I'm gonna ask somebody to help me work.
Yeah. Yeah. If I can manage it, or someone else can help me manage it, it's just a thought I'm having. Like, it brings us back to camp. How many times did you fake it till you make it as a staff person at camp?
All of it.
Every day you're like exhausted, kind of close to heat stroke, also very happy to be here, gonna lean into the happy to be here, or like we're at camp and it's 108,
Yeah.
and so
They just served us chimichangas, but we're gonna go out here and play ultimate flicker.
I know, yeah, we're gonna like run.
There's a 50% chance I will throw up in front of all these
know.
people.
Yeah. And it is about acceptance for sure. So I hope you guys that were listening got a lot. We said a lot. So, hey, I'm really glad you were here. And you guys, remember this blessing we've been saying, and it's a big deal that you are no more important than anyone else in the world. Everybody else is so important. They matter. Also, you're as important as everyone else in the world, which means you matter.
Yeah. And I don't usually add a blessing, but I've been thinking about this a lot, and it kind of goes with what we've been talking about. The old serenity prayer.
Come on.
God, grant me the serenity. What is it? To accept the things I cannot change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Serenity now.
Like,
yeah.
Dude, I don't know that I need to pray anything else ever in my whole life.
It's a good one, man. It's a good one.
If
I'm excited.
Figure out the difference between the things I can and can't change, man.
Well, yeah. So,
right? Everyone's blood pressure would come way down.
Well, hey, this has been an awesome hour. You guys remember to like it, share it, like put the podcast out there to your friends, families, and loved ones. We are at GPS Therapies, here to help and provide healing and growth through relational mental health therapy. And we're just here to help, have a great conversation. Looking forward to doing that again next week with you, Alison.
Yes. Yes and yes.
All right. Talk to you later.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.